Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to make a small doll of polymer clay, and for that I am starting with a ball of clay in a color I like for the dress, and I am kind of shaping this cone shape where it is big in the bottom and smaller in the top. It is not pointy but smaller. And I am using a few different tools to make kind of some folds in the dress, and I'm doing that by going upwards on the dress, and I'm just gonna continue working with this until I'm happy with the result of these folds. I am sorry that I am a bit off camera here, but it is just this coned shape, and then I'm making the folds from the bottom and up, and I'm just continue working with it until I'm happy with the result. Then I am taking a skin colored clay, some kind of skin color. You could use a brown or a pink or whatever color you want to have your little doll in, and I am rolling it into a thin snake so that I can make two arms, and I'm rolling a point on the snake and then cutting it off in around 1/2 centimeter, 6 millimeters or so. Then I am making this bend so that I have the double here, and that is for the legs. I am then cutting off a chunk for the head that I'm just gonna roll in between my hands. I placed a tiny bit of bacon bond on my table. It is actually not necessary to use this as this is non-baked clay, but I really wanted it to stick together everything, so I'm using that. And I'm using it on the bottom and placing this V shape that we made, making sure that a tiny bit of it is poking out and that it will sit flat on the table when it is done here. Then I'm placing a tiny bit of bacon bond on each side of the top where I am going to place the arms, again just to make sure it really will stick when it has been baconed. And I'm doing this on both sides here. Then I roll the ball for the head, and I roll a teeny tiny ball for a nose, and I'm just gonna take that little nose, and again I'm using my bacon bond just to make sure everything will stick together, especially this little piece kind of really needs it. So I'm just placing it and shaping it a tiny bit, but the little ball nose is more than enough. It is really cute. I decided to make indents for the eyes. You don't really need that, but I decided to do that anyway. I then rolled out a piece of white clay on my second thinnest setting on my pasta machine, and I am using a circle cutter to cut out a circle, and from that circle I am cutting out a triangular shape just like that. And I am taking my ball tool, and then I'm making some small indents all the way around the edge just to make it a little more interesting to look at. Then I am placing a little bacon bond on the top here of the cone, and I'm lifting up this little thing and placing it nicely on top of that, making sure that I have the split in the front so that it looks like a little something around the neck. I don't know what to call that. Then I'm using again a tiny bit of bacon bond on top of that, and I'm placing my head so the nose is pointing forward, just like that. I then roll two small balls of black clay. I roll it a little up long, and then I'm squeezing it a tiny bit flat, not too much, just a tiny bit. And these are the shoes for the little dolly here. Again, I'm using some bacon bond on the stumps here we have, just like that. And then I'm going to place these small shoes and I want mine to point upwards, but you could make them pointing outwards if you want that instead. And now this little dolly is ready to be baked. And I did decide to make a little hat for her, so I rolled out a piece of green clay on the third thinnest setting on my pasta machine, and I actually squashed it over this ball tool, and then I'm just placing it flat on the table, trying to leave the ball intact there. Then I'm using a cookie cutter or a circle cutter of some kind, and I'm just cutting out this ball with this little thing around the brim, I think you call that, around there. And there you have a very, very simple hat. You can make the hair of the doll of polymer clay as well. I recommend you bake the doll before you do that, but I have some cool curlies that I'm going to use for her, so I'm baking the hat next to my doll. So it's time to bake. Subscribe, like, and ring the bell button. When the doll is all cooled down, I am using a dotting tool to make the eyes. Remember, we made the little indents, so it's really, really easy to place the eyes. And I'm actually using a nail art brush pen for a little mouth here, so that's pretty easy. Now you can go ahead and decorate the dress like you want to. I'm using again my ball tool and some white paint, and then I am just making small dots all over the little dress. Remember the back side as well. So here we have the different options of hair that I have. I have a brown, a white, and a black. I'm going to use the black one for this. This hair I got on a sales exhibition fair, or whatever you want to call that. I'm not really sure what the real name of these are, but I like to call it a sales exhibition because it is an exhibition and it is for sale. Anyway, I am putting on some tacky glue on the top of the head, and I'm just placing a few of the strands around that top part. And I decided to put a tiny dot of glue on the back here of her head and then collect it. I'm not sure I show that. Anyway, I am gluing the hat as well onto, actually I just folded it here. I would put a tiny drop of glue in the neck. And I'm just placing the hat like I want it, and then this little dolly is all done. Now you can go and make as many of these as you want to in different colors and with different patterns on the little dress. You can even make them multicolored in the dress if you want to. So they're really, really easy. And again, if you don't have the hair, you can always mold it with your clay, or you could use some yarn. Thank you for watching, and happy crafting.